Welcome, everybody. Thank you all for being here today. This is the Sujata Against All Odds and Coach Less podcast video. And we are here today with Sujata, who has written a book called Against All Odds. No retakes, no manuals, real life lessons. And Sujata has accumulated a wealth of experiences during her life, leading to insights and knowledge that cannot be coached or taught in a class. She's a mother, a wife, a journalist, a consultant, an activist, a leader, and a businesswoman domestically and internationally. In sharing her story, Sujata strives to provide readers of all backgrounds in any part of the world with real life examples on how to deal with the unpredictable nature of everyday life. And Sujata and I have teamed up. Nope. Looks like her internet just bumped her off of StreamYard. I'm sure she'll be back. And we have teamed up to deliver you information where we're looking at different aspects of life, finding balance, looking at training and development, sharing the areas of training and development that are pertinent to today's business, family, faith, and speaking about all of it through the filters of life. Communications, integrity. That's the kind of fun that we have. We're super excited and we love it. We're enjoying all that we have created. This is probably our 4th or 5th month in this, creating these videos and podcasts. And so we're once again excited to be able to share with you. And with that, I'm going to let Sujata say hello and pass the mic over to her. Hi, Sujata.
Hi. And the internet connection is very unpredictable and choppy today. I can see that. So, something not in my control.
Well, no worries. We will make it all work no matter what.
Against all odds, right?
You know, that seems to be the way it happens. Sometimes you just don't like the way it gets delivered, which can sometimes be very frustrating. And,
Yes.
you know, it is what it is. So with that, you know, I just want to take a quick moment here to share. You know, we have this, we're coming up, and the idea is to solve some of the puzzles of communication and finding balance in that communication and some of the ways in which it works. And, you know, one of the things that I wanted to share was this opportunity today to, you know, we've been talking about the balance of life. We've talked about gossip and how it impacts. And one of the things today that I experienced today was working with a client, and their perception by a group that they're in, because something went missing in the group, and they were out on vacation. And one of the things that happened in this was, to me, was people are very quick to judge at what happened to items. Like if something were missing, if a ring were missing or a watch were missing or something, and people get very judgmental and they start to watch and look for signals. Is somebody a kleptomaniac? Is somebody got sticky fingers? And then the gossip spreads and the conversation in the background behind the scenes with people, not all together as a group going, hey, something happened. I'm not sure where it is. It got mislaid. I don't know where it went. Could anybody help me out? No, it doesn't come from that mindset. It comes from the mindset of, who's the criminal amongst us and who can we judge and assess? And once we figure out who we're all in agreement on judging and assessing, then we can put them on the cross. And I look at that and I think, what is it about us as human beings that sometimes we're so quick to judge that we forget all semblance of humanity, all semblance of integrity in the conversation, throw it to the caution to the wind and start pointing fingers and coming up with rhymes and reasons why it's gotta be this way and it's true. So I thought you would enjoy this, Sujata. I thought you'd kind of smile and go, oh, I know exactly. I've got great examples in my book about this because I remember the examples in the book. So I'd love for you to share your thoughts on this topic, how I think it's a great place for us to bounce to after the last few podcasts that we had. So I hand the mic over to you.
Thank you for doing this room consistently, and thank you for this topic because it's something which is constant in our lives. It doesn't stop or seem to go away, and it's relevant because we have to deal with it from time to time. It's not as if that people understand or people change how they perceive things or how they react to things, right? They're so quick to come to a conclusion or to start thinking in a negative way instead of in a positive way. So I like it, and I would like you to say which are the which are the instances which you remember from my book, because I will tell you later why I want you to uh, tell me the story that you remember from the book.
Well, I think the first one that comes to mind is the one where the security guard makes mention of your daughter being a partier and a drinker, and that she came on to the security guard. And rather than think about, is that really Sujata's daughter? And question the authenticity of the statement, they're so quick to judge and blame a woman for quote unquote this date rape, which was clearly rape. And anybody would, with a half a peanut of a brain, would know that. And yet people want the drama, and they want to be addicted to the drama and addicted to the, oh, I want the bad guy to win for some crazy psychological misunderstanding for me. It's like we live in this world of media and resources and we want the bad guys to win. And I'm like, this is crazy. It reminded me of O.J. Simpson, and, clearly was guilty, right? And became the laughing stock of the entire world when our legal system, exonerated him from any guilt of any kind. And so I see this, I see that part in the book, Sujata, and I go, to me, that defamation of character to prove that it's okay for what he did to your daughter just made me want to puke. So that's the part that I remember.
Yes. And the sad part is that you, at the basis of what the people were doing, is that they were rationalizing a crime. You know, that's the essence of the matter that I have trouble dealing with even today, even though it may be 8 years down the line. But when I see those people around me, I just can't forget that that is what they thought and probably think to the date, because I have not heard people come up and say, I'm so sorry for the way we thought. That's the least that a person can do, right? When you were very vocal in your actions and in your words to let it come back to us, there has been no apology for the thought process. And you have to live with those same very people uh, in your life. You have to meet them, you have to be having conversations with them. And I just think, do they ever think in their mind that, that they owe me an apology, right? I mean, you can congratulate me on my success, but that apology has never been given as to how they thought and how they tried to rationalize that there can be a reason behind a crime. A crime is a crime, is what I sort of loudly said in my actions, that this is a crime, period. There's no rationalizing about a crime, especially rape or murder, unless you are killing somebody in self-defense. That's another matter. But if you're not, and you're willfully taking somebody's life in a cold-blooded, premeditated manner, then there is no uh, cause for you to have any kind of leniency.
Yeah, it's one of those things for me. It's a headbanger because it just I can't imagine jumping to that conclusion, you know, uh, to defame somebody's character. So that's the
Yeah.
problem that I have. So anyway, so that's I thought that this would be a good place for us to start for today, and to really look into more of the humanity and how we handle conversations about people in our groups, and rather than look at, you know, people are so quick to judge rather than step back and take a breath and go, maybe something happened. Maybe we should look a second time and look at it through different eyes. So that's the part that I see, and that's the um, what I'm committed to us looking at and chatting about today. So with that, I'd love to pass the mic over to Brother Joey and hear what your thoughts are on this, Joey.
Excellent. I have 7 minutes before I get to my hotel, so I won't take all 7 of those minutes, but I will share that this gives me an opportunity to comment from the other room you hosted, possibly on Monday, I believe it was, and you asked, had you ever done the right thing or acted in the proper integrity, and it had consequences. So
Yeah.
No, definitely. I told you I know it happened, but I just wasn't thinking of specifics. So first of all, this is one of the things for me personally and I'm driving in the mountains, so if I go out, I'm sorry, guys. But this is one of the things that as a youth bothered me from adults. It was one of the things as a young adult and a young student pastor who was advocating and coming to the defense of adolescents, or as the church would call them, the youths. And I was always battling what appeared to be adults because of the age difference and the stigma of, well, if there was a mess left somewhere in the church, it must have been something that the student ministry did, and I would have to answer for it, even if we did it, and even if they did do it. I was always defending, and a lot of times unjustly and unfairly defending, and it was so frustrating because there's always that assumption that age group was guilty before any proper discussion, and that's frustrating, and I also experienced this as well. I don't know how other families work, but sometimes families can do that to a sister-in-law or a brother-in-law or somebody's new husband or boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever. The slightest little thing, maybe in the initial meeting, or maybe there were some things that they knew, a hearsay, gossip, and it's so unfair that those stigmas stay with that person, and it's so frustrating for a guy like me because I don't like that. And so to go back to Monday's question, yeah, I stuck my neck out a lot and probably made a few people very angry with me. When you decide to take a stand and say, hey, that's not right, chances are those people that are in the wrongly accusing or wrongly speaking or wrongly creating these stories, or even they're going to be upset with you. So that's where I am on this topic, Coach. I think it's a great topic. I think for many of us, and that's a broad stroke, but I think if we are in that position of judging that quickly and not letting something go, and seeing somebody and wrongly accusing or just not giving up on it, like every single time that person now does something, you have to have a problem with that person just because they did something 10 years ago. Yeah, I hope you find a way to figure that out and show some grace where grace could be given. Anyway, that is me, and I've got 3 minutes left before I pull over. Thanks, Sujata.
You're welcome. What are your thoughts about what he shared, Sujata?
Yeah, I think that's right, and the grace has not to be shown always the party which has been at the receiving end of the wrongdoing. Uh, the grace has to come, I think, from the people who have not thought in the right manner. And while it's okay to uh, realize later, probably at some time, that maybe we were wrong in our thought process, but you need to articulate that wrongdoing sometime for closure to happen. That's what I feel.
Coach?
Yep, go ahead.
Just a quick example. We had students come in, and if you're familiar with church ministries, student ministries, we had different children come in. We had church kids, we had non-church kids, we had the whole gamut of different social backgrounds and economic backgrounds, and the toughest struggle within the church sometimes so sad, right? Was when so we would do events. We'd serve food sometimes on Wednesday nights, and when kids would come in and they would eat a lot, right, and they would maybe take more than they should have, and I hear comments from friends of mine. I had to call my friends out, say something along the lines of, why are they eating so much? Didn't they eat before they came to church? And just hearing comments like that, and this judging, and this and this, how they view people and their situation, and not understanding. It's a lack of knowledge, a lack of knowing. I find a lot of times when we see people speaking like this, they don't even know what they're talking about. They're speaking from a place of not being educated and ignorance. And and I've had to stick my neck out and defend these kids and have people get angry. So just an example of what I was speaking of.
Joey, I think that was being plain unkind when they made those remarks. I, I think that it's not even that they did not know, but they made comments which were simple, to be filed under the category of being unkind. How can you make such comments? And that's why people like you and some others will stick their neck out. But not everybody does. People may just silently just ignore it and not even correct the person and say, how can you think like that and why would you make such a comment?
Back to you, Joey.
No, I agree, and when we're talking about gossip, and when we talk about situations like this, people stay silent, and and it's just like for many things in this world, when there's injustices and things are unfair, and we need to be an advocate sometimes for people who don't have a voice, and to circle back to Monday's conversation, did you ever do something that was right, that was integrity, but there were consequences? Sometimes it's, when we're talking about people, it's right, and whatever those consequences may be, will far be, whatever those consequences may be, helping that person out will be so far superior than whatever those consequences may be for you. And there you go. That's how I feel about it. Yep. Maybe I have PTSD from it. I don't know, but it's a very sore subject for me. Something I wrestled with a lot within and I'm still like this today when I see somebody. If there's an accusation against somebody, and someone's making the accusation, I have a tendency to bring that person to the other person and say, hey, this person's saying something about you. Can you clarify this for me? I think, and usually when that happens, the person who had the accusation usually cowers in the moment, doesn't want to even be present.
Yeah, because you have the integrity and they don't have the integrity. They know in their heart of hearts that what they're doing is wrong. And so when cornered, they would rather not be there to be accountable for clarifying and definitely not, eating humble pie by saying that we were wrong. We shouldn't have done that. So obviously they will disappear from the scene before you know anything about it. But your actions make out that you have a conscience and you do act on it. So it's not my problem, so why should I get into it? That's the other problem that I have. People will see injustice and then they won't stick their neck out because of the reasoning that they do is it's not my problem, somebody else's. Only when it comes to me, then I can defend myself or speak about it. But if it's somebody else, then does that make sense?
And I think, Sujata, there's even this place where if you come out and say, look, I want to stand up for this person, you better be so squeaky clean, because if they find one speck of dirt, they'll shame you into being no good.
Yes, they will at least make that attempt. Whether they shame or not shame is again whether I take what you throw at me or not. But yes, I'll have to deal with it
Yeah,
with
but
the
it's
birth.
and I guess maybe I was using the wrong word, but they try to defame you, and
Yes,
you're worse than the criminal. It's like,
yes,
wait a minute, why aren't you using this same tone and this same way of being with the criminal? You're like,
absolutely.
it's like they're almost protective of the criminal.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I'm just blowing my nose, Sujata.
That's okay.
As I'm here, I'm staying. I won't be able to come off the mic because I got a couple things to do, but I'll be in the room listening. Thank you all.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Joey. And I'd love to pass the mic over to Manis Civil. Hi, Manis. Great to see you. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you, Coach. Hi, everybody. Hi, everyone. I have to say something, right?
Yes, I'm looking for, I just read your bio and I'm like, ooh, this is going to be good.
Yes. I hear you was talking about the judgment, but what I can say before anyone can react by yourself, you examine your heart, what inside you, what you're supposed to do, what you're not supposed to do. Everything is about yourself. Sometimes it depends how you raise. Like when you have a child, the raise in the family, the father, the mother been making agreement all the time, fighting, blah 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 blah. These kids will be grow up the same way the father raised them. So that's why I can put the judgment myself. How I raise my kids, how my family raised together, how the happiness come in the family. And when I'm going to work or I'm going in the market, how I can make the decision, how I can help myself not to put myself in trouble, how to not accuse someone else or try to find something to push the argument to someone I'm not supposed to, or I supposed to be support, help, and show the person respect the way that I respect myself, and try to put everything by your personality and classification. When you have that, you don't need to open your mouth to say something. Anywhere that you go, anyone can say, hey, I see this person, this is a child of that. Even should I talk, the way you act, the way you present yourself, they can give you what is called classification. That's my judgment for myself. And I want to share that verse to everyone who's there, who listen to me. Psalm 139, verse 1. You can read that and you can find good answer from there. Thank you so much, Coach. God bless you.
God bless you too, Manis. Thank you so much. All right, and we're going to pass the microphone over to Blessing. Good afternoon, Blessing. Good evening, good morning, wherever you are.
Good evening, sir. It's about 10:30 p.m. here in Lagos, Nigeria. So it's pretty late. I'm happy to be here once again. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, beautiful.
Okay. Thank you very much. I have been listening. I would just like to say also that, well, as a believer, one of the things I have learned is to not be quick to judge, to listen, to be quick to listen, not to be quick to judge. We have to take time to listen, and sometimes if we are too quick to react or to judge, sometimes we may even be deceptive or deceitful. Let me put it that way, because sometimes when you take time to analyze situation, you might even realize that, oh, this thing, I myself, I have a fault in this, or I myself, I probably might be doing this. I was in a group, in a group meeting earlier today, and we were looking at the story of this First John, the third letter of John, I think, where he was talking about the old Trephus, how that the old Trephus was one who would like to appear first in the church and would like to all of the bad characters that he exhibited. But the question here is that we as believers, when we look at when we look at this kind of person, and you are reading this story, we are quick to say, oh, I know someone who exhibit this kind of behavior in church. I know this person who is doing this in my home. I know this. But the question is, do we even sit down to ask ourselves that, am I even which of these characteristics, which of these behavior, which of these characters am I also exhibiting? It's always good for us to undergo self-examination at different points in our life, reflecting, and when we do this, it helps in our judgment. It helps in us making the right decision when we are faced with a situation such as Brother Joy described. It's always easier for us to intervene. I just want to say, as I use my mic, that as believers, let us not be quick to judge. Let us, in all honesty, when we receive any matter, or we are in a position to make a judgment, let us always consider the merit and the merit and demerits of the argument, and let us examine ourselves. Let us cross-examine ourselves. Which of these things that I want to blame others for, which of it am I also exhibiting? How do I myself need to change, so that I won't be removing the pegs in someone's eyes, while I myself, I have all of these things full in my own eyes. So basically, I would. That's just what I would like to say. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I'm sorry I might be leaving anytime soon because it's late here. I may want to, but I've enjoyed this session so far. Thank you very much.
You are very welcome. Thank you. We appreciate you being here, and thank you, sir. And with that, we pass the mic over to Sister Jeanette, if you are able to speak yet or not. All right, we will scoot over to Nikisha. Nikisha, thank you so much for being here today. Would you love to share on this topic? All right. How about you, Gail?
Hi, Coach. Good.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. It is a blessing and a pleasure to be here. And I was listening to what was spoken, a lot of wisdom and knowledge there. I was coming across, sometimes that comes in our lives about judgment, being judged or judging others. I was told many times by the elders, the more you judge others, the more you judge yourself. By constantly seeing the bad in others, we can train our minds to find, to seek out badness, This can lead to an increase into stressors and making one even sick at times from being judgmental or finding themselves in anger due to judging others. So it's good to be one fair when we are observing or looking at a situation. Sometimes it's never what it is that we see. It may be something totally different and we're just missing it. So it's good to know about the facts or the circumstance and things like that. But we just have to be mindful and careful because judgment can cause a lot of tribulation and many times can lead to something very lead to something that's uncomfortable and bad in some instances. That's all I had to say.
Well, we appreciate it. Thank you so much, Gail, and thank you for coming up on stage and sharing with us.
You're welcome.
Can you hear me? Sorry.
Yes, Nikisha, we can.
So sorry. It's quite late in my country. I'm in the southern part of Africa, Zambia, so it's quite late. I think we're even an hour ahead of Nigeria. So I was trying to put some stuff away so that I won't be able to make noise for everybody. Thank you very much. I'm enjoying myself.
Awesome, Nikisha. Well, thank
you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Go ahead and tell us a little bit about what you think about the topic.
It's a very interesting topic, and I have enjoyed myself having to listen to each and every single one of my brothers and sisters that have been talking earlier before me. And just to give a little bit of a contribution to the topic tonight, I will agree with the fact that as believers, as children of God, we should be able to assess ourselves firstly before we assess any other situation or any other person outside our lives. It's important to look within yourself. It's important to know yourself. It's important to be self-aware of the characters that which are not pleasing to yourself and to the people around you, number one. And then secondly, it's also important for you to be self-aware of the characters that which are also not pleasing before God as we are in the body of Christ. So what is important most of the time is ourselves. When we are looking at another person that has done something wrong, or we have heard that somebody has committed a crime, or they have done something that is not really aligning with the word of God, before we take that judgment to judge that person, before we point a finger, before we pass any comment, before we crucify that person, like you said when you were asking the question, you said, do people take time, and I quote, to breathe for you to like, what is going on, and is this thing that I have heard or that I have seen happen really what it is or how it seems to be? Because many of the times that which we rush to comment, we rush to judge, we rush to do a lot of things. And at the end of the day, we find that the people that which we were judging probably would be more innocent than we are ourselves, or we were rushing to talk about a matter that which caused that person be looked at from the lens of evil judgment, because we have people that don't care about other people. What they care about is pointing a finger and having to place a weight of judgment on a person, because for some reason, maybe it makes them feel better about themselves, or maybe it gives them more credit, or maybe it makes them um, or it keeps them in a certain position or a certain class of life. So it's easier for people to point fingers and to judge others before they judge themselves. So that's what I feel. And then I heard when the conversation just started, Mama Sujata, I don't know if I pronounced your name very well.
Beautiful.
There was that case about the rape that I heard about, and from what I picked, I just want to say this. We're living in a world where people don't really take time to understand the magnitude of psychological damage that comes with rape case, that comes with murder, that comes with demeaning somebody's image. I feel like a lot of people in our society today, and especially in the church today, they don't take time to understand the magnitude of the psychological damage that certain things that they do or that happens, live with the people that are victims of those things. And it is so sad that we try to trivialize the pain that the person is going through. We trivialize the helplessness that that person is going through, and the forever damage that that person will have to endure and live with for the rest of their lives. So many are the times that we think saying sorry is going to change or help the situation, and we feel like probably just it's gonna end, or it's going to just go down or die down. But the people that actually go through those things are the ones that suffer the most, and they get to live with those things for the rest of their lives. But even as we are in that place, we can never go wrong with our Lord. I believe that God has given us the grace and the blessing of the Spirit of God that will help us do a lot of things. So, to Mama Sujata, I just want to say, may God, in His infinite mercy, grant you and your family the healing that which that is required. And at the end of the day, all of us, we really need to get that healing from so many things that which we have to go through, and the things that we have faced. So I think that is all I wanted to share. And I appreciate so very much, and thank you so very much, Coach Lee. I am humbled to be given the opportunity to speak tonight, and God bless everybody.
Thank you, Keisha, for all your kind words and understanding. And
You're welcome.
obviously, or maybe you have not read the book. So when the world, was in their judgment mode, I had a spiritual meeting with God, and the healing happened, and we got justice at one level, at least in the legal system, is because when nobody stood by us, God did. And so while I was alone from the world, I was not alone because the higher power was with me. And that's what carried us through. And for all the victim shaming, victim blaming, and, defaming the victim and the family, uh, they were left with nothing to say when, not only in the legal system, but in according to society, if you look at it, where once you carry the scar and the placard round your neck that you are a rape victim, you don't actually as a woman stand a chance to be accepted or to have a normality, that okay, you can get married or you can have somebody in your life. That, in my case, it just blew people away, because she did get married, and she got married to the boy that she was seeing at that point of time, with the family accepting her just as she was, without any kind of baggage. And that's the way that I didn't have to say a word, but the world did shut up, and they had nothing to say at the end of the day. So there's a justice out of court too. There's a justice in court.
And
But
she's very happy with him, correct?
yes, I mean, it's been 8 years, so there it is. And of course, like Nikisha said about the psychological thing, no matter how hard I tried and no matter what justice I did, for the record, the stigma that was attached and the slander and defamation that was there by the society at large, that will never go away. It's cast in stone because it's written, because it's there in the court system, it was reported in the media, and of course, this large sea of people in society, they made their judgment, for which there is no legal recourse. You have to just live with it. It is fine.
I I feel for you, and I feel for the young lady. I was speaking from an experience, though in my own case it's quite different. I wasn't raped, but I was almost raped, and I was helped because I struggled so much. And one thing that I have come to understand is that when you are coming from that type of a place and you're coming from that type of a situation, there is always trauma that you will live with for the rest of your life. There is a lot of mistrust that will come into the woman's mind towards men. There is this part of you that must really take time to heal, and a part of you that must learn to understand that people are different. And at the end of the day, just one bad seed cannot make the whole fruit be bad. So it's from that place that I spoke from, talking about the psychological trauma and the things that which you just get to live with for the rest of your life, because it's not something that goes away. It's not something that you can easily forget about it. And considering the fact that it was something that was, widely publicized, and it was, all over, and everybody, a lot of people were rather involved in it, is a miracle that that person is even in that place where she's married. And oh my God, may God bless that man that has married her, because it's not easy. So yeah.
What do you think of that, about that, Blessing?
Hello.
So I appreciate, Nikisha, what you said, and I thank you for taking time to dig in and also to acknowledge Sujata's story. I really appreciate that the fact that you found some common ground in it.
Thank you very much, Coach.
You're welcome. And then please let us know if you ever want to come and share some of the stuff, some of your own experiences, start a room. I think that would be, you seem like the person that would fit.
Definitely I will.
Say that again, Nikisha.
I said definitely I will. I will when there's something that I would love to share. I will definitely let you know.
Yes, awesome. And with that, we pass it over to Marianne.
Yeah, I am back. Channel G. I told you that I don't have my voice on. I'm just listening.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Sorry, Mary. Take care. Hope you feel better.
Thank you.
Sister Sulina.
I should say just like Marianne, but I'm going to speak regardless. I'll push it and push it and push. But great evening, everybody.
Grand.
I'm just getting an opportunity to
How are you, Selena?
Just wanted to make sure that
Hey, Sulina, Sujata just said, how are you?
I am doing better. I'm doing better. I'm resting. Yeah, I'm doing much better. Interestingly, God just has a way of telling you, sit down. Go sit in the corner, daughter. Be quiet.
Rest.
I am doing that, yes. But I had to rise up and say, oh, I can't miss Sujatas and Coach Larry's stuff. Let me come on in here. So I am present.
Thank you for being present.
You're welcome.
And with that, Sujata, what do you think of the comments so far?
Wish there were more understanding people around incidences or places where the victims need. If the understanding that is present in this room and the sensitivity, if there were more uh, you know in more people, then maybe it would be a better place in many parts of the society and the world. But this is the whole thing about the essence of our room, is to get comfortable in talking about the uncomfortable and set a process of thinking as to how do we operate, because we all at some point or the other may you know be quick to judge or analyze a situation and pass the judgment. Everything doesn't end up in a court of law. So the psychological damage that everybody lives around with is because of how people speak and how they operate. Sometimes with words and sometimes even without words, you can just mistreat a person. It's not always verbal.
Yeah. It's a tough one. It's a very tough question. All right. Well, I'd love to see if any of our audience, if I call them by name, they'll come on up. So I'm going to start with a lady in the red dress, Tanika. And All right, can everybody hear me? Oops. All right, sorry about that. I see Tanisha's got a little guy in her window. So it looks like she's saying, I'm ready. I love these little GIFs. A pity I can't read them all. Look at those little things. They're hilarious. All right, Sujata, where do you want to go from here? I'm gonna have you take a stab at it.
Well, I would like.
We only have a couple minutes left, but I was just like, I don't want to leave the dead air.
No, it's not dead air. I think such conversations actually do bring about some silence because people, when they hear and they talk, then there's also a point when you reflect upon the topic or the situation, or you relate to probably some things or many things which have happened around you. And then you think that, okay, this is probably somewhere a learning, and maybe I can handle situations in a different manner going forward by responding to some people in a certain manner. So maybe that's why at times when we talk about such things, there could be silence. And yes, so if nobody has anything to share, they're probably in a reflective mode, is what I would, you know, think that may be the case. I don't know. And since it's an hour already, I guess if nobody has anything to share, then we shall close the room and come back tomorrow. And then maybe some people have something to say then. What do you say?
I think that's a great idea. Sister Jeanette, are you there? Sister Jeanette? She must be busy as well. Well, all right. Well, I'm with Sujata, and I think we kind of hit on some fun topics today. I think it was a little sparked in the beginning, and I think now we're in this contemplative space for people to kind of listen to, look, read about. And with that, I'll do our fun little exit.
Coaching with Les has doubled my practice.
We've increased our sales by about 33%, blowing all of our goals out of the water.
In my first 6 months, I actually grew my business with his help over 500%. Literally 500%.
Les Hill is the type of person that invests back in you and back into your company. So if you're looking for a business coach with integrity, choose Les Hill.